if you want to book paid portrait and wedding photography jobs, but you just don't have the money to spend on those expensive marketing techniques, then this is definitely the series for you.
Welcome back to our free marketing tactics for photographers video series. Now, today we're going to discuss how your social media presence can build you a really strong foundation for booking paid jobs.
But before we jump into that, we want to introduce ourselves.
I'm Hunter.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're Hunter and Sarah Photography, a professional husband and wife wedding photography team.
We're also educators, and our goal is to help photographers to build a strong foundations in both their businesses and their personal lives so that they can run profitable and sustainable photography businesses.
Now, last week we continued this marketing tactics series by discussing how your past clients can be a really strong source of future referrals. So if you missed that, link is in the top. I think it's above me. Yeah.
Yeah, and this week we are going to talk about social media and specifically Facebook business pages and the Instagram business accounts. So let's dive in.
So we obviously don't need to tell you that everyone is on social media nowadays, right? We've heard the statistic quoted before that the average American spends 2 hours a day on social media. So what that means is your ideal client, the person you're trying to book for your photography sessions, is almost definitely spending time on social media.
Yeah, and keep in mind the creators of these social media platforms didn't just create them out of the goodness of their hearts for your entertainment. Social media was invented to make money, and they get paid to connect the people that sell products and services with a captive audience.
So if your ideal client is almost definitely hanging out on social media and these platforms were invented specifically to sell them products and services, then really the only question is, are your ideal clients going to be consuming content that you made or content that was made by someone else trying to sell them something different?
Yeah, because here's the thing. How you use social media makes a big difference. If you use it like a consumer and you just are mindlessly kind of scrolling and taking in content for the sake of entertainment, then it's not doing you any good as a business owner. But if you use it as a tool to intentionally market yourself as a business, you can start to reach your network without spending a single dollar.
And look, we know that there are a ton of different philosophies about how to run a social media presence for a business and even just for a photography business. But in this video, we're really going to hone in on the 2 things that we think are most effective and sort of the best bang for your buck in terms of the time and energy you put in for newer photography businesses, which are Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, and while we've heard huge success stories about photographers marketing themselves and their imagery on Pinterest or reaching a wider audience using Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, we believe that just Facebook and Instagram are the best places to start for a photographer who is in the early stages of their business.
So let's jump right in with Facebook. Now, the first thing to be clear about is that if you already have a Facebook, then you probably just have what's called a personal profile, right? So that's you, right? My personal profile is Hunter Sheldon. And of course you need a personal profile to do pretty much anything on Facebook. But what we're going to be talking about with this video is actually Facebook pages, or sometimes called business pages, which is different from a personal profile.
The good news is that setting up a Facebook page for your business is super simple. All you have to do is click the little button in the top right corner of your screen with like the 9 circles in it and just click create page.
So there are a few reasons why we think creating a business page is going to be more effective for a photography business as compared to just like posting your own photos to your personal account, right? And for starters, it gives you access to things like analytics, where Facebook will show you, how your page is growing over time, or what your followers are engaging with more and how certain posts perform versus other, posts. And also eventually one day, if you did want to start using paid ads, you're going to need a Facebook page to do that.
Yeah, but it can also help you grow beyond your personal network because it establishes you as a legitimate business. If you don't have a website yet, it can serve as a home for your business online. Facebook pages can store things like your business hours. It can serve as an introduction of you to your potential clients, and it can tell them how to best contact you to book you.
Yeah. And if you don't yet have a website, like Sarah mentioned, you can even use a photo album within your Facebook page to show off your kind of overall best of the best portfolio, which you have, because you definitely watched part 1 of the series, right?
So whether you're creating a Facebook page for your business from scratch or if you already have one, here's just a couple of best practices for setting up your business page on Facebook that we've figured out over the years.
So for starters, a picture of you smiling holding a camera and looking at the camera, we have found is going to be the most effective way to really communicate that you are the photographer who runs this business, right? People, and also on top of just making that clear, people always want to talk to and communicate with people as opposed to just kind of a nebulous business entity, right? You don't want them to think they're talking to some robot or, a little chat bot or something. And so as an example, like both of these two circles right here represent our business, but which one feels like a more friendly, more warm, more inviting? Which one do you want to contact more, right? If you're like most people, it's the one that shows us, not the one that just shows our logo.
Yeah. The next thing is just to think very carefully about how to name your business. It should be very easy to remember and even easier to share with a friend. Not you share with your friend, for someone else to share with their friend.
Refer back to last week's potential clients, learn from past clients. Anyway.
Yeah. We're big proponents of just like your name photography, or like some variation of that in most cases.
Images by your name, or something along those lines. It's very clearly about you.
As opposed to something that may seem clever, but is just very generic and could be anyone.
Another hot tip is that if your business page is connected to your personal profile, make sure that your personal profile is also professional and doesn't have anything that is unpresentable, right? If a potential client finds your business page and is like, oh wow, this person seems very friendly, very personable, very professional, and then they click over to your personal account and it's full of like really inappropriate content, or is filled with like long controversial rants or like super unprofessional images of you at a party that one time, right? Like they're going to very quickly be like, ooh, this is maybe kind of sketchy, and they're probably going to no longer trust you as a photography business. So if you haven't already, which you probably should just because it's general good life advice, but if you've had a Facebook profile for like 10 or 15 years and it's full of old, unprofessional, embarrassing stuff, now is definitely the time to go back and maybe make some of those old photos and posts either private or just delete them altogether.
Yeah. And finally, if you have an Instagram for your photography business as well, link those two accounts, so whatever you post to Instagram will automatically post to your Facebook page. This just makes posting new content and keeping your Facebook page fresh a lot easier. And speaking of Instagram.
Yeah, speaking of Instagram, as a photographer, Instagram probably seems like the most obvious social network for us to be on, right? It's a platform that revolves entirely around sharing your images for other people to see, right?
Yeah, its user base also has just a very different demographic than Facebook, and people come to Instagram for a different reason than they might go to Facebook.
So even if you're posting the same content to both platforms, you're likely reaching a different audience. And speaking of reaching a different audience or a different user base, maybe you're watching this video and you're thinking like, man, Hunter and Sarah must be so old that they think Facebook and Instagram is where people actually hang out. Like me and all my friends are, on insert whatever, platform is super relevant and new right now, right? But even if that is the case, don't be so quick to dismiss Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, yes, Facebook has an older user base than Instagram, which in turn has an older user base than platforms like Snapchat or TikTok. And maybe you're watching this video and like the newest platform has, already arrived, and TikTok has gone the way of Vine.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Vine.
But that doesn't mean that these platforms still aren't an incredibly powerful and easy to access tool to grow your following, especially to reach your own personal network.
It's probably a bunch of Gen Z people watching being like, what the heck is Vine? But honestly, you never know where those first paid clients are going to come from. And even if okay, my ideal client is on Snapchat or is on TikTok, maybe their parents are the ones on Facebook, and their parents are the ones who are actually paying for the high school senior session or paying for the wedding. Or maybe, the best friend of the person that you are trying to book is on Instagram all the time, and they're the one who actually ends up, booking you that first job. You just never really know where your first clients are going to come from. So if these two are the easiest platforms to get started on, you might as well start there.
Yeah, and while it may be harder to like go viral on a platform,
whatever that means,
like Facebook or Instagram, it's much easier to build a consistent and committed following, especially if you already have a strong personal network. But we'll get into that in a minute.
Because honestly, at the end of the day, when it comes to posting on Instagram and to your Facebook page, and especially if the two are linked and you can kind of do it all at once, the name of the game is really consistency, right? When someone checks out in your Instagram profile for the first time, they click over to your grid, or maybe they've been following for a few months, if they see that you are consistently posting once or twice or 3 times a week, it's going to communicate a few things to them.
For starters, it gives credibility. It reassures them that you are an active business who is actively shooting. Of course, they don't need to know that some of the photos you're posting may have been from sessions that you did for free or from a session that you did a year ago and you've just brought back to fill in those gaps in your social media schedule. All they see is someone who is actively keeping up a photography Instagram.
And if they're seeing your imagery every time or every other time they, pull up Instagram on their phone, then what that means is you're going to stay what is, in the business world, there's this phrase, top of mind awareness, right? You're going to stay at the top of their mind. So when they do eventually actually decide like, hey, I think I do want to do family photos this year, or they get engaged and they're suddenly looking for a wedding photographer, if you've been posting all the time to their feed, you're probably going to be the first one that they think of, and that is really good for your business.
Yeah, but if you're posting once a month or you post 5 times in 1 week and then not at all for 3 weeks, like it's going to be way easier to just totally forget about you than if you post consistently. Or if you go to a profile for the first time and their last post was 2 months ago, your first thought is probably, are they still in business?
Now, the last thing we want to talk about when it comes to social media is the actual how of posting to Instagram, right? Now, on Facebook, the distinction between a business account and a personal account is very obvious, right? You send a friend request to a person, but you like a page. On the other hand, with Instagram, a business account and a personal account are pretty much identical.
Yeah. And there are really 2 approaches that you can take. The first approach is to have a personal Instagram account where you share content from your personal life for your friends and family, and a separate business account where you just share your photography work. And in our experience, this is just the route that most of our students and apprentices kind of take by default.
Yeah, they kind of have the instinct of like, oh, I'm a photographer now. I should go start a new Instagram and start posting my photography work there. But the second approach, and the one that we think is probably going to be a little bit better, is to take the account that is currently your personal account or was your personal account and actually convert that into your business account where you're sharing both your professional photography work as well as a little bit of your social life and your personal life as well.
Yeah, so, while we do see the benefit in having those 2 separate accounts, we believe that having a single account is just a far better option for most newer photography businesses where you are your brand. So, since Hunter and Sarah Photography is a business built on our brand, our
right?
Instagram account...
Without Hunter and Sarah, there is no Hunter and Sarah Photography.
Yeah.
That makes it a personal brand business.
Yeah, so our Instagram account is... us.
If you were to go check out our Instagram account right now, and we'll link it in the description below in case you do want to go look at it. What you're probably going to see is, if you look at our grid, is you're just as likely to see a professional wedding photo or something from a recent engagement session as you are like a picture of us from a recent date night or maybe the last trip that we took. And we think that this shows our followers that we are in fact real people and not just some, photo taking robot. And it also makes us more relatable to our followers, and ultimately people want to buy people that they feel like they relate to and that they can trust and that they can see themselves being friends with. Whereas if we have an account and we post the best wedding photos in the world, but our logo or our, the little, your header, your profile, whatever it's called, is a logo, and we never post photos of us, you're going to be like, yeah, he or she takes great photos, but I have no idea who they are.
Yeah. And just like this kind of one Instagram account model gives potential clients a glimpse into our personal lives, it also gives our personal network a glimpse into our professional lives.
And honestly, when you're first getting started as a photographer, probably something like 95% of your early jobs are going to be your friends, your family, or your friends of your friends or your family, right? Acquaintances. They're going to be people within your personal network. So why are you going to go create a new Instagram and start from scratch when essentially the people you're trying to reach are already following along? Why start over from scratch when you've already got this captive audience of people who already know and trust you?
Yeah, we honestly can't even tell you how many of our apprentices and students we've brought into our coaching who already have, a thriving personal Instagram account with over 1,000 followers that engage with them regularly on their personal life. And then they've built a, business Instagram with like 100 followers who just never engage with their content.
Don't hide your entire personal life. Of course, there are certain aspects you may keep private, of course, but don't hide every bit of you from your potential clients, and don't hide your photography business from your personal network, right? And if you're going to share both personal and professional content to both your personal and professional network, just save yourself a ton of effort and do it all from one Instagram account that likely already has a lot of followers if you're already active on Instagram.
Yeah, and if you separate your personal and business accounts, you're basically just dividing your efforts and your effectiveness in two. And you never know who is missing out on all that great content that you're producing. But we're going to go a little more into like winning over your personal network in part 7.
And of course, there are exceptions to this rule. So, for example, if you don't have an Instagram at all, the one that you start is going to be a business account and maybe share a little bit of both business and personal, but make sure you're inviting your personal network into it. And then, of course, if you are really uncomfortable with the idea about sharing your personal life with everyone, but you do want to share aspects of it with just a few people, and you maybe don't love the idea of like, sharing, but like something that we would honestly recommend is like, if you have the 1,000-person personal account and the 100-person business account, close down the business account, convert the personal to your business, start sharing all of your stuff with them, and then just create a new personal one and invite your like 10 or 20 closest people, make it a private account, and you can continue to sort of share your real life with those people. But at the end of the day, if you've got a captive audience of people who already love you, share your business with them, because those are going to be the first people that hire you.
Yeah. And those friends and family within your personal network, don't worry about losing followers. Those are the people who want to see you and your business thrive. They want to see you and your business succeed. So if you have that kind of inner fear of like, what if people unfollow me? They weren't really your friends in the first place. They don't want to see you succeed, and those aren't the people you want kind of in your network anyways.
Yeah. Don't pay too much attention to follower count in all of this, except when thinking about things like, why reach 100 people when I can reach 1,000? But anyway, that's pretty much all we have for today.
Yeah, we'll have a new post for you next week. But in the meantime, go get your Facebook page and Instagram account optimized for bringing in new clients.
And if you haven't already, you've heard this before, we really do encourage you to join our Facebook community called Mastering the Wedding Photography Biz with Hunter and Sarah. We are helping other photographers build profitable and sustainable photography businesses week in and week out in that community. And it's also where we make tons of announcements and start polls and start conversations and all that good stuff.
Yeah, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel so you'll be the first to know when we publish, new content each week.
And of course, if you found this video helpful or you want to add anything, comment, whatever, please feel free to comment below, and we always respond to our comments.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. We will see you next week with another free marketing tactic.
See you guys.